So now I'm going to give you a little orientation to Microsoft Excel. This is kind of like just the lay of the land and what are the different parts of Microsoft Excel called. And I also just want to make sure that while you're working with your own version of Microsoft Excel at home, your Excel is looking somewhat like my Excel, that you don't have a setting on there where it looks totally different. So that's what we're going to see in this video. Now, the first thing you have to understand about Excel is that, Excel is a workbook, right? When you open an Excel file, you're opening a workbook, and inside that workbook are worksheets. And you can see all of those worksheets right down here, right? All those worksheets. Inside the worksheet, you have columns and you have rows. And the intersection of a column and a row is a cell. Now, there's a special cell called the active cell. So when I click on something, it gets a green arrow or it gets a green box or a black box, depending upon your version of Excel. It gets a green box or a black box around it. That is called the active cell. The active cell, whatever cell you have clicked on. Every cell in Excel has a cell address, an Excel address. And so let me just show you that right here. Up here in the name box, that shows you the cell address. So we're at column D and we're in row 6. That cell is D6. That's the active cell right now. Up here, this is the formula bar. So the formula bar, if I enter some data right here at D6, and I'll just enter my name, right? The formula bar shows me when I click on a cell and make it the active cell, the formula bar shows me the content in that cell. I could click up here and I could start editing, and it changes what's down there. I could also just double click right there and edit, and it changes what's in the cell too. So we have the name box, we have the formula bar. This area up here at the top is known as the ribbon. Sometimes it's known as the menu ribbon. If your menu ribbon is collapsed, you have an option right here. So if you click that option, it collapses the menu ribbon, collapses the ribbon. You could get that pinned back open just by clicking one of the menus, coming over here, and then pushing in on that pin right there. There's one menu ribbon I want to look at. That's the view one. Here in view, you've got normal, page break preview, page layout. Right? So if your view looks kind of wacky, come in here and make sure that you're on normal. Likewise, if you don't have grid lines, you can see those grid lines appearing and disappearing. Make sure you have the checkbox on your grid lines. Likewise, headings, right? Headings on your columns right there totally help. Headings on your row totally help. So click this headings to make sure you have headings. Click this grid lines, make sure you have grid lines, make sure you're on normal. That's all on the view ribbon. The view ribbon. One other menu ribbon I'll print out is file. When you hit file, it's a little bit startling. Takes you to a whole new reality. What happened to my spreadsheet? Click this back arrow right there, right? Watch that again. Click this back arrow, you come back to your spreadsheet. So this is an orientation, a lay of the land, Microsoft Excel. We've got columns, we've got rows. The intersection of a column and row is a cell. The active cell is whichever one has the box around it. Here's the name box, tells you the address of that cell. That's O13. We're in column O, row 13. Here's the formula bar. So if I had something there, right, it'll allow me to go up here and start changing what's there. If we had numbers in a cell and our column was too narrow, right, it's just going to show pound signs or hashtags. To widen that, bring your cursor back up, get that black left-right arrow, click and drag, left click, hold down the left mouse button and drag, open it up, it'll show those numbers. Down here we have the worksheets, right? So columns and cells, column header, so columns and columns, rows, cell, right? Here's the column headers, the row headers, the name box, the formula bar. Worksheets down here make up a workbook. Our ribbon menus are up here, and we saw how right there we can hide it. And then right here, down here, we have a zoom bar. So if I zoom this over, that arrow, if I get it just right, will be pointing somewhat towards, towards that right there. And then we have a little bit of sample sales data here. And I put this in here so I could show you the status bar, which is this area right down here. And as I highlight things, I'm going to make this data a little bit bigger. So what I'm highlighting is actually a little bit closer to the status bar. There we go. As I highlight things, you could see that counted up how many things I highlighted. If I highlight numbers, it not only gives me the count, but also the sum, 2,344, and the average, 468. So this is a little orientation to lay of the land of Microsoft Excel. Here's what we covered in this video. You could pause the video right now and take a look at what we covered. You could also go to our course outline. Here's our course outline. You could get this file, 012, Finding Your Way Around Excel. You could open up this file and play around with this yourself. Great way to reinforce the concepts. And you could pause the video right here or just go look at the course outline and you could see everything that we covered in this video. So there's some new terminology there, but the main thing is it's not rocket science. It's just, figuring out this is the ribbon bar up here. Here's the formula bar. Here's the name box, columns and rows and cells, an active cell, column header, row header, status bar down here, just the names, getting this thing pinned and unpinned, what happens when you hit file, going into view, normal, page break, preview, gridlines, headings, just giving you a little bit of heads up, get yours looking the way mine looks, understand some of the terminology for the different areas, the little zoom thing down here, a little orientation to Microsoft Excel and the lay of the land. In the next video, we're going to start looking at what does it mean when our cursor changes, our pointer changes from an arrow to a left, right, to a plus, to a black plus. We'll learn about that in the next video. Good stuff.